Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you all for joining me for today's webinar on making your workflow easier. What that means in layman terms is that we will be creating a quick search template and then running a quick search. And then I'll be showing you guys how to create custom views or like the graph of data that we're checking out, the chart of data we're checking out. And then I'll also apply a sort to that view so that those listing results are organized in the way I want them to be. So with that being said, let's just get started. We can start a quick search. So I always start on the Flex dashboard. I'm going to click quick search right here, my favorites. Right now I'm at a one dash residential search template. So just in case you don't know what I mean when I say a quick search template, I mean these up here. Ignore my zero dash best water. That is already a custom one. But what you guys will typically see is everything below the one dash residential. So you'll see residential for residential searches, land, multifamily, commercial. We have commercial info exchange, which is for commercial leases. And then we also have personal property, which are typically mobile homes that are on leased land, but pretty much anything fits inside the personal property database. Newly added is our 7 dash residential lease database. So Flex and Rental Beast happen to partner together so that Rental Beast listings or rental listings flow into Flex MLS databases now. So we're the first ones to have this happen. I'm not sure if we're still the first ones, but we were the first ones when it launched to have this in our system. So we were a bit of the guinea pigs. So appreciate you guys. Check it out if you haven't. And then we have 8 dash cross property. So 8 dash cross property includes residential, land, multi, and commercial properties all together in the same search. So really good if you're looking for perhaps a list of your sales. You just want to have a general idea of what's happening in a market. That is what cross property is really good for, not so good at nailing down and finding specific properties for a client, though. All right. We'll stick with one dash residential because I know that's what a vast majority of people are working on inside the MLS. So the one dash residential is our template, meaning that it's determining what property types we're searching for, residential and the 3 subtypes. And it's also giving us a predetermined set of criteria fields that we can input data into, which is a fancy way of me saying it has all of these pre-selected for you. However, not all of these are necessarily used on a day-to-day basis or on a regular routine basis. Some of these might just really never be used in one of your searches. And so all it's really doing is just cluttering and taking up space. So let's clean this up a little bit by first removing fields that we are not going to be searching by. So for me, for example, I'm never doing a quick search so specific that I already know the property. If I knew the street number, for example, or the street name, for example, I would be searching for it up in the quick launch bar to find the listing. So I'm never running a quick search to find one particular property. So I'm getting rid of street number and street name right from the get-go. I like a bunch of these coming down here. Number of fireplaces. I have always felt that that's a really weird search criteria to have be important enough to be a default. As in, is someone really like, I need 3 fireplaces or I'm not interested in the property? I mean, maybe people say that. I don't say that, so I'm getting rid of fireplaces. We have something like body type right here. So body type is a field that gives you either double wide or single wide for mobile homes. So if you're someone who really doesn't search for mobile homes for their clients, you could kind of basically get rid of the body type field because you're never going to use it. So that's one that you could remove theoretically. So like garage and garage spaces, vehicle storage. I'll get rid of those extra ones, other structures, parking, that kind of feels pointless. The garage, like yes, no, could be important. I'm also never running quick searches. If the purpose of the quick search is to find properties for my client, then who the listing or the selling, which it wouldn't be the selling in that case because it's active, but the listing member and the listing office are not criteria, right? I'm not singling out a specific office or a specific agent and only sending those or sending their listings, right? That's kind of weird. So I've cleaned this up quite a bit already, just getting rid of fields that I think aren't really necessary. And there's probably others here that you would get rid of yourself, like state/province. We know we're searching for Maine. Yeah. Okay. But not only are we removing fields, but we could also add fields. And I may have spoiled it by keeping my zero dash best water template. But the examples I love to use are the water fields. So by default in residential, we get water frontage and water body name. But there are more water fields to go by. So if we click add a field here and we just search for the term water, even water space FR would limit you down even more. But we can scroll through our list. These are all of the fields that have water in the name, basically. Fields and enumerations that have water in the name. What I usually focus on is water info. So we have water frontage and water body name. We could also grab water body type if we wanted to. So let's do that just to have it. I'm going to click the blue plus sign next to the title or the header here, which is the field technically, because I don't want just a specific enumeration or like a specific response. I want all of the options that the field has, and then I can choose which enumeration or option from inside of the search criteria. So hope that makes sense of why you'd want to pull the whole field over and not just an individual enumeration. And then we have water info. So we have the water frontage, yes, no, but it would probably also be good, perhaps, to know the amount of waterfront, or you want to search by, your client wants a minimum, and they want to know, hey, is it how much of it's owned, how much is it shared, right? So we're kind of just adding these water info fields so that this search template is going to be very water focused. Really going to be good if you're doing searches specifically for clients looking for waterfront properties, right? And I'm going to say that's good now for my example, but keep exploring. You guys might even have other fields that you think of when I say that based on your experience being on the actual, like on the ground doing this work. But for today, I think these are fine examples to use. So now I have all of my water fields added. One limitation I want to point out right here, because it bugs me, is that we can't shift the order of these fields from this screen. We would have to go into our quick search templates in the menu to reorganize the order of the fields. So not something that I typically go into, but if you are curious and you want to do it, just give us a call. All right, enough dilly-dallying. Let's save this template now so that I can come back and use it again and again and again, and I'm not finding myself deleting and adding the same fields over and over. So I'm going to come up to save as if I was going to save the search. But because we made adjustments to the template, removed, added fields, we now have a save quick search template option I'm going to click. And you can see I have, I need a little more cleanup here. So, and you can probably tell by those custom water views that I would advise you to put 0 or start with like 9, for example. So the reason why I say that is because the list of templates is sorted numerically first and then alphabetically. So by putting 0 in the front like this, not only does it kind of like match the style of the other templates that we give you guys. So for me, I like that. But it also will mean your custom template is at the top of the list for you to easily select into. So I already have a best water, so let's just do like water front. And then I'll click save. I get my green success box here. If I open this up, I now have 0 waterfront, what we just called it. I'm going to reset real quick. We're going to pretend it's 2 days later and we're coming into our quick search and it's still there. And it will be literally in 2 days as well, not just figuratively for my example here. So that's how you would create a quick search template. So now let's actually plug in some information to start trying to find waterfront properties for my client. So first thing is they want single family residences. So they don't want condos or mobile homes. So I'm going to select specifically the property subtype of single family. I am okay with our default on market statuses being selected, active, active under contract, and coming soon no show. Please don't forget, guys, that active under contract listings want your clients to see them. So don't just automatically brush off a active under contract listing if it's something that your client is interested in. It does mean basically, or perhaps literally, it means that they're under contract, but there is a kickout clause, and that seller is looking for backups. Don't leave them hanging. All right, let's pick a town that's on the water. Um, I don't know if this is technically true, but I see Rangeley on the map over there on the left. So let's put Rangeley in. It looks like it's on a lake, right? Yeah, okay, for you. Don't judge me, guys, okay? I don't know a lot of the state. So when we have water info, water frontage, yes or no, right? So I have the town of Rangeley. I know why I want it to be on the waterfront. So that gives me a good reduction of options. And then if I wanted to, right, I could put in a waterfront amount, minimum, maximum. And I would either do that or water frontage owned or water frontage shared, if that makes sense. I think it might be too specific if you were to say, well, the waterfront amount should be, 1 to 100 square feet, I believe. And then the water frontage owned should be 1 to 100. I think you're kind of finding the same things in that. But again, test it out and see what works literally on the field. For today's sake, I'm not going to worry about doing that. I just wanted to get some examples for us. And in fact, I probably should pick a couple of extra towns here as well. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Should have maybe thought of this, but that's not who I am, unfortunately. Wish I had some examples. Okay, Moscow. Boo, 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 boo. Thank goodness I can edit this out before it goes on YouTube. Wow, poor Moscow. I am not picking on good ones. Let's go up here and do Eustace. Okay, that gives me one more. I would like an even better example. There's got to be people screaming at me like, choose this one, this city, this town would be perfect. And here I am, struggling. All right, let's do Belgrade. I just want like 3 towns, just 3 towns with results. Holy moly, we did it. Okay, so now that we have our waterfront search results, I'm gonna go over to our list tab because I want to see what we got working with here for results. So we can tell what the view is, and to kind of now that we're actually looking at it, describing what the view is. So the view is this or like the columns of information that get pulled in for the property when you're checking out the list of results, right? So all of these fields here are the view. We can tell by this drop down which view we're checking out, which is 1-residential selling agent, right? In this drop down, you can see I got some custom ones, probably should have cleaned up. And not that this information is bad, right? But if you're doing waterfront searches, you're probably not concerned about who's listing the property, what the listing office is, who the selling members are. You definitely wouldn't probably care about that if you're looking for active listings. Are you really concerned if it's leased land, if you're doing single family? Well, maybe. But is that something that needs to be said right up front? Or is it more important to have the actual water frontage information there? I guess it's up to you to decide, but I do want to show you how we can customize this in a way that I think makes more sense. So next to our drop down where it shows us what view we're currently on, I'm going to click view, the button. And I'm going to get this pop up here that's asking me to create a view from one dash residential. So all that means is that we're starting with this one dash residential view as our base, and then we're going to make edits to it from there. So I'm going to do zero dash again because I want it on the top of my list of views, and I'll call it waterfront since I don't have that one yet. The description is optional. Show photo, these kind of like show photos are default for. Definitely up to you to decide if you like those options or not. The name is the only thing that's required. I'm going to fields. So we can see we have a long list of selected fields for this view. Again, not that it's bad information, it's just probably not the information you want at a quick glance. If you're doing waterfront searches and then you look at your list of results, you should see the waterfront information. You shouldn't have to click into the listing to then find it on the detail report. So things that don't matter to me are basically all these bottom ones. I don't care who's listing it or selling the property. That's not what I'm looking for right now. Days on market might be fine. Lease land, I'm not that interested in. Subtype, I'm not because I'm running specifically single family, so I know what the subtype is. Everything else might be a-okay. I'll clear up a couple more just for the sake of it, right? Like tax amount, lot size. Again, I'm not saying this is bad information. I'm just saying it's not what I want to see up front in your build. We'll take it like that. Over on the left side now, we can start searching for field options again, similar to how we were adding a field in our quick search. I'm going to type in the word water. I get all of the water options we can view. Just like before, I want to find water info. So I want not water frontage because that's just a yes or no. And the answer is always going to be yes in my waterfront search. So I do want the waterfront amount. I want to know how much is owned and how much is shared based on the data. I think water body type. So let me do this real quick. So with water info, right, I could have clicked the header here and pulled all of them, but I don't want all of them. Water body type, I do want though, because that's going to tell me which of the water body types were selected by the agent. I don't want to pull over just bay, for example, because then it would just say bay, yes or no. I want the full group so that the chosen option is what's displayed. I hope that makes sense. All right, and then we can reorganize this a little bit. So I think what is most important here is the waterfront information for me. So I want to know what the amount is. I want to know what's owned. I want to know what's shared. And then I want to know what the water body type is. And I think from there, I think I'm happy with that. So that's the list of fields that we should be seeing on our view. Some couple other things that I want to touch on while I'm here, and I'm dragging this along, but I'm almost done. One more thing I want to share about while I'm here is you can see something like rooms right here. So in parentheses, it's actually hashtag or pound sign, depending on your age, basically. It is hashtag rooms, so number of rooms. In parentheses is what the field name in Flex is. So when you're entering data into the listing, that's the name of the field. In gray, where it says hashtag pound sign number sign space RM, that's the name of the field when you're looking at the view. And the goal of this, and same with days on market, the goal of this is just to shrink the amount of text on your views screen so that you don't have to awkwardly slide left to right on your page to see all of the fields, right? This helps you kind of shrink and condense those things. Waterfront fields are quite lengthy in text, relatively speaking. So if I click waterfront amount, I can now edit the name of the field here. And whatever makes sense to you, right? Because ultimately this is what you're seeing, okay? You and you alone see these fields. So for me, WFAMT says waterfront amount. Okay, like that's how I would understand that. So I could do like WF for waterfront, again, water frontage, and then do owned. Boom. And I'll do that same thing, WF, but for share. And I could probably shrink share even more if I really felt like it. Click done. And water body type is fine. I'll get rid of the word type. I don't think that's necessary. Just to show you guys how it's going to shrink, basically. And last but not least, as we're going through these tabs up here, is the sort. So right now it says the sort is listing member, terrible sort, terrible sort. Listing alphabetically by the listing agent is such a weird way to do it. So I'm going to create a new sort here. And I do recommend uh, sticking to just two or three sorts. I feel like the more sorts you have, the more like confused the system may get. And what I mean by sort, and I'll give you an example of probably what I'll end up doing, is I will say, I want to sort this by the towns alphabetically. So then everything in one town is grouped together, and then it's the next town underneath it, and the next town. And then my second sort would be by price, highest to lowest. So within each section of towns would be organized by the price. So it would be it would be everything in Rangeley sorted high to low, and then everything in Belfast high to low. I can't remember what the other one. Eustis maybe had one other. We'll see what we get. So let me look that up. So I want to go by town. And ascending, I think, is correct. I never remember, and it doesn't tell me, which is okay. I should actually know. It's like that left and right, like except ascending and descending is I think more complicated than left or right, but it's always left to right for me. And I get confused by that sometimes. And then I'll do price and I'll do list price, right? Because we're looking at active listings. And let's just see how this sorts. So I'm going to click save now, and you could do other things. I don't think every field is sortable. For example, water, when I type that, we can't sort by the amount of water frontage, unfortunately. So sorting is really, really kind of like a basic concept of organization, more so than like this finite, show me the top water frontages. All right, and then we can hit save. Oh, well, I have to give it a name. Let's do waterfront. That way I know it's supposed to be attached to my waterfront. I'll put a zero dash in front of it too. Why not? Just to keep it the same and organized. So yes, now we are here. So ascending is lowest to highest. So we should be organized by alphabetical first. So Belgrade's going to come up first. And then within Belgrade, the prices should go from low to high. We can also see, right, we have our waterfront amount, our waterfront owned, the amount that's shared if there was any, like this one does. The water body type, so like lake, this one's on a lake and a pond apparently. And then we kept some of these styles and like the room counts and stuff. But you can see we don't have to go left and right. So if I click one dash residential, I do have to go a little bit to the right to see the information. And if there was actually information filled in for some of these blank fields, it would be even worse, right? So just going back to waterfront, everything is together on one screen. Oh, and I could have got rid of close price too, because I don't need that field for active searching. All right, very cool. I think that is about it. We did our quick search template. We created a custom view, bam, the fields of information we see on our list tab, and then we were able to sort those by the town in alphabetical order. So Belgrade first, then we have our Eustis, then we have our Rangeley. And then within those towns, they're sorted by lowest price first to the highest, lowest price to the highest. Perfect. So I'm going to reset because that's it. I want to thank you guys for joining me for today's webinar again on making your workflow easier. And if you have any questions after the webinar ends, give us a call at 780-1366, or you can email us at help@mainlistings.com. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day.